Good morning, Dooley Godot here with the weather forecast. We do have some things going on across the nation right now. We got one Alberta clipper to talk about. We got some showers and thunderstorms in Texas to talk about, and a little bit of snow across the mountains of Montana and Wyoming right now to talk about. But first, let's take a look at our WSV3 map, and let's take a look at that activity in the Great Lakes. We got an Alberta clipper taking place right now with light snow coming across Ohio, parts of Indiana. We have southern Michigan getting on that snow. Detroit seeing that snow right now, parts of Ontario. We got Toronto that's just getting in on some of that snow. That snow is currently affecting Rochester, New York, parts of Pennsylvania. Winter weather advisories are in effect for parts of western Pennsylvania as well as Ohio. It's getting some of the action out of that Alberta clipper. They're pretty moisture starved, so this is not going to amount for much. 2 to 4 inches probably. I would say it is kind of overachieving a little bit, which is typical, can happen sometime with these Alberta clippers, but it's that light fluffy snow. It's going to be pretty easy to shovel. It's not going to make too much of a fuss. You're not going to be able to have fun with this snow. It's not going to be good for skiing, and it's not good for packing and throwing snowballs. So let's take a look at the next area of activity going on. We are going to go down to the south coast, the South Texas coast here around Houston. Let's reorientate our map. We're going to take a look at what's going on around Houston as we have showers and thunderstorms taking place right now. As you can see, this is the only area that we expect to see thunderstorms or convection today. The National Weather Service do have a convection outlook for this area. We do see showers. These are more garden variety thunderstorms. I don't expect anything in the way of severe weather. Maybe an isolated brief severe thunderstorm might be possible, but I don't expect too much from that. Maybe some periods of heavy rain, but don't worry about that too much. And then we have this area up here, up in the mountains, up in the high country of Montana, big sky territory. A little bit of light snow around Miles City, Glendive, and we have Glasgow, Montana getting into that. Havre, Montana, seeing some light snow. Great Falls, Montana is seeing a little bit of rain mixed in with that light snow. And that's the stuff the main stuff that's taking place across the nation right now. There is a little bit of wind across parts of Southern California from those Santa Anas, which is pretty typical this time of the year in Southern California, as that high pressure over the mountains is creating that northwest wind. So we are going to jump into what our GFS is showing right now. This is our GFS. It stands for our Global Forecast System, and this is going to we are going to take a look at what's in store for us right now, and this is currently what's taking place across the nation. You see that Alberta clipper across the Great Lakes here, bringing some light snow. You also see that precipitation down in Texas. You see those thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast, and you also see that scattered snow here across the mountains of Montana, and it's getting into a little bit of Wyoming and Idaho. This is the next Alberta clipper that's going to affect the upper Midwest. This is going to slide along our jet stream. As you see, our prevailing flow here from that northwest to southeast, that is going to affect the Minnesota tomorrow, and Wisconsin could see a little bit of light snow, and Iowa as this slides off into this direction. Let's progress our map a little bit and see what's in store for us as we move into. I want to get into some things that's going to take place. I'm going to try not to spend too much time on the video today, because my last video was 57 minutes. I was long stroking y'all. I'm not going to long stroke you today. I'm trying to keep it precise and to the point. And I want to show you one other thing. I want to talk about this guy here. This is our potential nor'easter. This is the 29th of January. As you can see, this pretty deep low. We got a nor'easter progged for the northeast, according to the GFS, that is, and it wants to say that there is going to be a nor'easter. As you can see, a pretty deep low. It's going to have some pretty heavy snow along the coast, snow inland, and this is going to take shape across the southeast. As you can see, it try to come together. This is where it will be as far as the 28th is concerned. So this is Friday. It's going to bring some heavy rain along the Gulf Coast. Florida can see those thunderstorms. You can see a little snow start to develop over Pennsylvania, New York, West Virginia, parts of Tennessee and Kentucky can see snow. I don't see freezing rain in this yet, so we'll take a look and see if we see any freezing rain. If we get any freezing rain at all out of this system, let's move our map. As we can see, move up the east coast, really take shape, form that nor'easter, and move on off the coast. So this is going to take about 2 days to move through as we get our nor'easter. And then let's talk about the next thing that I see in our future. Here we are, this big area of low pressure here coming out of Colorado. Guess what this is, folks? This is the dreaded, if you live in the upper Midwest or the Great Lakes, you're afraid of these. Be very afraid of these. These suck. This is going to be a Colorado low. I thought maybe we could get through this winter without seeing one of these bad boys, but here comes one now. We have a Colorado low coming up out of Colorado and New Mexico. It's going to be making its beeline across the Great Plains and into the upper Midwest. As you can see, it could bring rain and freezing rain into Minnesota. Rain and freezing rain into Minnesota and Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin. Then we get heavy snow across northern Minnesota, the northern half of Minnesota, into the Dakotas. Can see that heavy snow. These are efficient snow producers. It is efficient at pulling up Gulf moisture. As you can see, the stream of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. This could be a pretty big storm. Usually these guys are good for at least 1 feet of snow, a foot of snow across Minnesota. It could easily produce a foot of snow or more. Typically is what we see from these bad boys. So, but we do see freezing rain into the Twin Cities. The Twin Cities is right here. So if you're in the Twin Cities this is for February 2nd. So the GFS is saying that we could see that snow, freezing rain, and heavy rain across parts of Minnesota. So if we're going to see rain and freezing rain, I would expect temperatures to warm into the 30s. Maybe warm into the 30s, maybe near 40 degrees in parts of southern Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois, southern Wisconsin. Can see that. We'll check the temperature profile for the coming day. For these, hopefully we can get it for this period. I would love to see what the temperatures are that we're going to see this potential for freezing rain here in the upper Midwest. So that's the two big stories right now. This big storm, this is going to be a huge storm. If this comes, this is way out there. This is not until next week. So if this pans out, I get a feeling that this is going to be for the second. So the second and the third. This is Wednesday and Thursday of next week. I might get to work from home. We'll see what happens. My wife and I, she's a school teacher. She might get to work from home. If you're in the upper Midwest or the Great Lakes, you're working from home unless you work in a restaurant, but or in a service industry. But most people get to work from home. That's what that looks like. And that's going to move off to the northeast. Then we have another system that's going to come up. This one is going to come again. New Mexico, Colorado, another Colorado low, but this one is going to move more toward the east than it is toward the north. That like the previous system. This system also heavy rain is going to be efficient at pulling Gulf of Mexico moisture. A lot of rain. We get freezing rain again here in the in Kentucky. We get West Virginia, some freezing rain, Pennsylvania, freezing rain. Then we get snow in Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. Again, we'll get snow in Iowa. Missouri could get some snow. heavy snow, and this moves into the northeast. This is not going to be a nor'easter, even though it's going to produce really heavy snow, because this one is coming more from the land than it is coming up the east coast. It's coming more from the Great Lakes than it is coming from the east coast. But you see that area of heavy frozen precipitation. We got that freezing rain right here in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York City. Be on the lookout for that. That is that potential for the 5th. This is about the 5th of February. You have that potential there. The GFS is painting this. We'll see if this continue in the next model runs. We're going to keep running this and see if this big storm. So there we have it. 3 big storms to talk about. The potential for 3 big storms. And there is the potential for the 4th storm, but this one is for the 7th of February, but it doesn't really get as strong, and I think it hit, well, maybe it kind of might want, it's not going to be the deepest storm in the world, but another potential. There's a 4th potential storm for the East Coast. So there you have it. According to the GFS, we have 4 big storms to talk about right there in the GFS. Let's take a look at what the Euro is saying right now. And the Euro has us in what the Euro has in store for us. So here is that area of snow for the Great Lakes. This is what the, well, no, actually, this is all, let's progress to where we are now. This is currently where we're sitting. All right, there we are now. This is that Alberta Clipper that's affected the Great Lakes. This is Michigan, Southern Ontario. Here he is in Ohio and Pennsylvania. It's getting in on that little snow. And then let's just make sure we get our South Texas in the view, in the frame here. Here is that area of precipitation across South Texas. Those showers and thunderstorms for the Houston area and Beaumont experienced that. Maybe parts of maybe a little bit of Austin, Texas, and San Antonio may see some of those showers and thunderstorms. Let's progress. Let's see this area of showers and thunderstorms kind of blow up in the Gulf and head into Florida. Bring showers and thunderstorms for the 26th. This is for Wednesday. Can see showers and thunderstorms across South Florida. That puts a slight risk for severe weather. Another Alberta Clipper moves across the Great Lakes area, upper peninsula of Michigan. Can see a little bit of light snow from that Alberta Clipper, right? And then it's going to slide into parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania. So that's what the European model has in store for us. Let's go to our next map. Let's take a look at what those temperatures are. What is our GEFS ensemble, global ensemble forecast system. All right, this is what the GEFS, as you can see, our prevailing pattern has been that persistent northwest to southeast trough with that ridge on the west coast. Let's look at what the GEFS has in store and how it depicts that big East Coast storm. There is that storm now as it makes its way across the across Texas, and it's going to move to the East Coast, gonna fade out. Here is the next one coming across. As you can see, here is what Wednesday looks like. As you can see, our Alberta Clipper is now making its way off the East Coast. A little bit of high pressure builds in across the east. That ridge really amplifies across the west with a positively tilted trough in the Midwest. Okay, it's going to progress forward. This is what we're looking at for the 28th. Look at our deepening trough right here. Look at this steep trough here. This is that big storm that's trying to develop. That's going to become our nor'easter. This is going to be our nor'easter. Here it is now as it turns the ridge, turns the base of that trough. Now it's in Georgia and South Carolina. And you're going to see it move up the East Coast. There it goes. There is that big storm as it moves off the East Coast. This is what we're looking at it. A positively tilted. It's it's neither positive or negative tilt right now, but it is going to be a pretty strong area of low pressure. This is where it is going to be on the 30th. This is that same storm on the 29th. Well, here it is on the 29th along the mid-Atlantic states, as the GEFS has a little bit south, but as it prepares to ramp up and head on up the East Coast. There it is. Our ridge out west kind of flattens out a little bit as we get to the 31st. We still have a bit of a northwesterly flow here on the East Coast with a slight trough and a slight ridge in the west. It kind of flattens out a little bit. Then a little bit of a trough builds in out west. We get a ridge out east. Now we get a ridge on the East Coast. This is for February 2nd. We look for the ridge here on the 1st and the 2nd. Here's the 1st. Here's the 2nd. Our ridge builds up, and that ridge kind of gets higher. The heights build on the East Coast. This is where we are on February 2nd. That ridge is even stronger for the 3rd. Trough deepens on the West Coast, and then moves on towards the east. That ridge rebuilds out west. We get a little bit of a long wave pattern here of what we call a zonal flow. This is what we're going to be looking at about the 7th of February. A nice long wave pattern. So that's where we end with that. So we do get a nicer pattern. This is usually a pretty good pattern. It doesn't lend itself to deep storms or anything like that. But we do see that ridge trying to rebuild in the west here after the 7th. So I'll be anxious to see what it paints for the period beyond the 7th. So that's what we have for our global ensemble forecast. Let's look at the NOM 3 kilometer temperature right now. This is what we have for the NOM 3 kilometer temperature forecast. NOM 3 kilometer temperature forecast. Say that 100 times quickly, okay? This is what we have for temperatures. This is where we are. We have that cold temperatures across the Midwest and the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. That Arctic air is really taking hold, and that's what we're going to see in these patterns. Let's look at what the temperature looks like going to be for the 25th. The same, much of the same. We have that bitter cold in the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. A little bit colder here in Minnesota. Minnesota is like the cold air bullseye for the nation. Minnesota, because even the Dakotas aren't as bad as you're going to get in Minnesota and Wisconsin. I think Minnesota and Wisconsin are two of the coldest states in the nation right now. So let's take a look at what we're going to have. This is what Wednesday. This is what we get for Tuesday. And this is still more of Tuesday. But let's do a loop here. All right, this is the loop. Our forecast loop for the NOM 3 kilometer. And this is where we are for the 25th. You see that cold air, and that cold air really kicks in. And let's progress forward. You see that cold air retreat. But this is the difference between overnight lows and daytime highs. You see our daytime highs in the upper Midwest. This is what we get for the 26th. This is for your Wednesday. You see those overnight lows in the negative teens, about -9 in Minneapolis, -10 in Rochester. You see how Minnesota and Wisconsin is going to be the coldest two places in the nation. So that's what the temperatures look like. Bitter cold for the upper Midwest, for the Minneapolis, for Minnesota, Wisconsin. You see that single digit highs, -10 for lows. And you see that it's going to be persistent. And for the rest of the nation, pretty seasonable weather right now. Let's take a look at what our satellite temperature, what our satellite looks like. As you can see on the satellite image, this is the latest satellite image before we wrap this up. As you can see, an area of low pressure you see the moisture coming out of Texas. Here's our Alberta Clipper. move across the upper Midwest. Here's that snow, the little bit of light snow and precipitation as the next Alberta Clipper comes in out of Canada. For otherwise, the rest of the nation is pretty clear. It's pretty clear in the southwest, pretty clear in the southeast for now. That's a look at the nation's weather and what's going on. A look at the 4 potential storms coming up over the next 7 to 10 days. My name is Mr. G. I'm your meteorologist. I want to give a shout out to the National Weather Service, to pivotalweather.com, Tropical Tidbits, WSV3, who provide the data that I use for my forecast, at least for this forecast. I want you to like the channel, share, subscribe, leave a comment, give me your opinions and thoughts about this forecast. What do you think is going to happen in the next 7 to 10 days? Leave your comments in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. I'll be back tomorrow with another look at the weather forecast. Okay? Thank you and have a good day.